Listen, pay attention. It's like I said. Okay, you're gonna fuck my wife, and I'm gonna take some pictures. That's all.
What? What the f? Hey guys, what's going on? It's your boy, Vortic here, hitting you with another episode of review and commentary, kinda but not really. Basically, it's a series where we watch random stuff together. It's not a full-on commentary session, it's not a full-on super in-depth review. It's a bit of both where we just chat shit and have fun. The first half of this video will mainly be my live commentary seasoned with some homemade, spicy, cringy memes. And in the second half of the video, we'll dig in, we'll get our hands dirty to unpack the show and find out what's it all about. So if this is something you'd like to see more of, hit that subscribe button. If not, hit it anyways because, you know, why not? You know, you can always unsubscribe later. Please don't. So today we are watching The Devil, not just today, not just tomorrow, not just wearing Prada, but The Devil all the time. If you don't know what it is, it's a new Netflix movie based off a novel with the same name. Now I've never read the book, but I've been excited to catch this for a while now because I'm a sucker for psychological thrillers and it's got a pretty kick-ass cast with English actors like Tom Holland and Robert Pattinson playing characters from the Midwest, the Deep South. Why, you may ask? Because that's acting, baby. So grab your diapers and strap in, boys, because we're about to watch The Devil All the Time. Which, funny enough, is an accurate title of what it was like dating my ex-girlfriend because
she is the worst. She is the worst person in the world. Huge, skank, terrible.
Now, if you ask most people where Knockemstiff, Ohio, or Cold Creek, West Virginia were, they probably couldn't point them out to you on a map.
man, what a name for a town. Where you from, buddy? Hey man, I'm from Knockemstiff, Ohio. It's a small town right next to Smack 'em Hard and 30 miles off Kick 'em Low. Come on, is that actually a place called Knockemstiff? Oh my god, it's real.
So, what'll you be having?
Ham and cheese.
My brother just got me the job, so... Tin cheese. You take pictures?
Turning now to a Fox 5 News alert. Milton police are looking for a man who they say took photos up a woman's skirt while she was shopping. There he is.
I'm in love.
What's this girl's name?
Well, I ain't never got her name.
You ain't got her name.
I left her $1 tip though.
Oh, what?
For a cup of coffee?
And this, my friends, clearly demonstrates that being a simp transcends generations. Ain't no shame dropping a couple dollars buying Belle Delphine's bathwaters, my bros. Your granddaddy probably would have done the same.
Thank you, Rear.
Hey, I recognize this. And there we go.
The Lord looks out for me now! Mark my word, people!
Hoping you take that
away your
jump.
fears!
Don't
If you
feel the
will!
fall.
I'm thinking we take a walk. If round about outside of all them trees.
Whatever you want, Roy, but what about Theodore?
Theodore will be alright sitting in the car.
That's right. Don't y'all worry about me. Maybe I'll take me a nap.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again.
Them boys might be bigger than you. But the next time one of them starts his shit, I want you to finish it. You understand?
Yes, sir.
Now you pray on what happened today. And remember, be honest.
Guys, is it just me or does that kid look more like his dad after getting that black eye? Bill Skarsgård just always looks like he had a rough night. But can we blame him?
I know you can do it. Please, Lord.
Uh-huh, honey.
Pray, goddammit. Do you want your mama to die?
God had a tendency of asking men to make sacrifices.
Oh my god. Don't tell me you're about to do what I think you're about to do. You leave that dog alone, sir. This show is literally unwatchable. 0 out of 10. Guys, I swear to God, Mia Wasikowska is literally Tom Holland in a wig. And I challenge you to prove me wrong. Wake up, sheeple.
Listen, pay attention. It's like I said. Okay, you're gonna fuck my wife and I'm gonna take some pictures. That's all.
Yeah, come on, Dudley. Just fuck his wife, man. Don't be disrespecting the Southern hospitality.
This is Lenora. Lenora is your stepsister.
Hi, Arvin. Hi. Stepbrother! I need your help!
How are you stuck in the dryer?
I don't know, it just happened, but I need you to help me.
You're not stuck, just move forward.
Nice to meet you too. What you got?
A great day in his life, 'cause the songs that they were singing.
Hope you liked them, Reverend.
He was grateful his mother decided all those years ago that he was going to be a preacher. He'd never win a fist fight.
Let's agree to disagree.
No, this is where you zip it, all right? The adult is talking.
This is all I have. I'm nothing without this suit.
If you're nothing without this suit, then you shouldn't have it, okay?
Love is real and Wait, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
We can feel the Lord out here, can't we? No. Have you truly opened yourself to the Lord?
Okay guys, you're at church on Sunday and your pastor tells you to stay back after Bible study and then he gives you this look. What do? Let me know in the comments.
Come on, Brady.
Why are you here, Lee?
Man, Bucky Barnes really let himself go. This was probably why he wasn't made the new Captain America.
The good book is filled with good men and women suffering delusions. But only through his faith and his strength overcame. It is our delusions that lead us to sin. Striking a mother or a wife for something that you thought they said. Some girl gets a feeling for a fella and lets him have her holy gift. Delusions! Blaspheming the Lord in your mind and in your heart for some wrong done to you by another person.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Guys, is it just me or does this scene play out exactly like a vintage gay porno?
Excuse me, preacher.
Got time for a sinner?
Well, that's what I'm here for.
I've done lustful acts.
Act of fear, gate crown.
Come on, Ray.
Okay, that's the end of part 1, which was the random memes and commentary portion of the video. Now let's jump into the review. Okay, there's a lot to unpack here, so let's try and dissect this bad boy. Essentially, The Devil All the Time is a bit like the gothic thriller version of Pulp Fiction, with a more religious emphasis and less Tarantino violence. Now what I mean by that is that The Devil All the Time tells the tale of 3 interrelated stories that are joined together by this one overarching narrative. Each character's story in this movie is connected one way or another, either by sheer luck or divine intervention. It's your choice, but given the religious tone of the movie, my money is on divine intervention. In fact, this is further emphasized by the fact the narrator of this movie is played by Donna Ray Pollock, who is the author of the book. Now that's pretty cool because essentially, it implies that you're hearing the voice of God himself telling you the story. Side note, Donna Ray Pollock has an incredible voice. He could definitely be the next Morgan Freeman and should definitely start narrating more movies or audiobooks. So the story begins with Bill Skarsgård playing this man called Willard, who's coming back from the war, and he's seen some shit, which makes him lose faith in his religion. He goes back to his hometown Knockemstiff and he goes to a diner to get a meal, which is where we see the first instance of this butterfly effect in the story taking shape. Jason Clarke, who plays some cuck photographer called Carl, was about to sit down but ends up offering his seat to Willard instead. Now this is crucial because both Willard and Carl end up meeting their wives in this diner that very day itself. Had Carl not offered his seat to Willard, the story may well have taken a very different path. A potentially brighter, less perverted path. Because as we now know, Willard ends up marrying the waitress Charlotte, played by Haley Bennett, and Carl ends up in some sick Bonnie and Clyde murder photoshoot spree with the other waitress Sandy, played by Riley Keough. Now this is also interesting because Willard's mom had also made a promise to God for Willard to marry this woman named Helen, played by Mia Wasikowska, aka Tom Holland in the wig. But instead, Helen marries Psycho Pastor Dudley, and surprise surprise, that too did not end very well. God, this sounds like some Desperate Housewives gossip right now. But again, it shows the true ramification of that butterfly effect, because had Willard married Helen instead, their stories would have probably been much less tragic. So anyways, Willard and Charlotte have a child named Arvin that ends up growing up to be Tom Holland. Now when Willard's wife Charlotte gets cancer, Willard starts turning back to religion in hopes of a divine miracle saving his wife. I find this quite interesting because it kind of reflects how a lot of people end up truly seeking religion. You know, people in society don't normally turn to God when life is going well for them. Instead, they only truly seek God when they start to hit rock bottom. So as Charlotte's health starts to decline, Willard starts getting more extreme with his beliefs and even crucifies his dog, Old Testament style. This obviously didn't help and Charlotte ends up passing away, with Willard committing suicide right after the funeral, and this leaves Arvin all alone as an orphan. Now Arvin ends up staying with his grandmother and there he meets his stepsister Lenora, played by Eliza Scanlon, who is the daughter of Helen. If this is getting confusing, don't worry, that's the last member in this depressing family tree that we're gonna talk about. So how Lenora ended up in this household is similarly tragic. Essentially, Psycho Pastor Dudley started to believe he could resurrect dead people, and surprise surprise ends up killing his wife. Coincidentally, he meets Carl and Sandy in one of their sex murder escapades, and Carl kills him. You see what I mean now with this butterfly effect? Anyways, long story short, the story becomes Spider-Man killing all the bad guys. It's basically that. Now, The Devil All the Time tells the depressing story of how small things have dramatic effects, and it also shows the dichotomy between faith and the temptation of sin. We've seen the impact of the butterfly effect, so let's now focus on the battle between good and evil portrayed in the show. Towards the second quarter of the film, you follow the protagonist, Arvin, as he eventually faces the 3 main devils in the show. These are metaphorical devils, by the way. You know, they're not actually spiritual demons. This ain't a horror film. So, the first devil Arvin faces is Robert Pattinson as Pastor Preston. Now, Pastor Preston is the handsome new pastor in the area, he's the top dog, the big kahuna, and we see him continuously abuse his power as a pastor by preying on young, naive women such as Arvin's sister Lenora, which eventually led to her death. He's one of the worst characters in the show, and he's the very definition of a hypocrite. As a pastor, he continuously preaches about God, yet he uses religion solely as a weapon to further his sinful gains, be it for sexual favors or chicken tendies. His character embodies the concept of contradiction and hypocrisy as he consistently lies effortlessly for his own selfish purposes whilst maintaining his holier-than-thou image. Now, Robert Pattinson's character is obviously an over-exaggeration, but from my perspective, his character does loosely reflect the hypocrisy of most modern-day upper-class Christians who, although regularly attend church and preach the Bible, they lack empathy and are genuinely quite selfish and inconsiderate to those beneath them, unless it somehow benefits them in one way or another. Again, this is not my opinion of Christianity or Christians as a whole, but all I'm saying is that we do know people like this do exist. You know, Karens, basically. But yeah, that's just my 2 cents. Now the second devil is Jason Clarke's character, Carl, who is the more literal personification of the devil. He has this kink where he picks up random men to photograph them fucking his wife, then he kills them. You know, he's like the cuck version of Ted Bundy. You know, simple as that. The final devil is Officer Bodecker, played by Bucky Barnes. Officer Bodecker embodies the sin of corruption. In short, he abuses his power as a sheriff to cover up the crimes caused by Carl and his sister Sandy in order to maintain his position in the upcoming election. And at the end of the movie, he too, like the other devils, end up succumbing to Arvin, the fastest gunslinger in all of Knockemstiff. Arvin then jumps inside what was implied as Jesus' car and they ride off into the sunset. And Arvin starts imagining his future, which implies there's some sort of light at the end of this dark tunnel. You know, a potentially happy ending. Now, in terms of my thoughts on this movie, basically it's alright. You know, it didn't live up to my expectations, but maybe that's more on me. The Devil All the Time is by no means a bad movie. You know, the score was decent, the cinematography was visually pretty nice, and the acting I thought was great. You know, all the actors did their part and gave a great performance. I mentioned this earlier about what really surprised me about this movie was the fact that it had such an international main cast, mostly from England and Australia, playing characters from the deep south, the Midwest. It was a pretty bold choice considering they could have just played it safe and casted more American actors like Matthew McConaughey. You know, hell, they even had Jake Gyllenhaal as the producer of this movie, and I'm surprised he didn't have a role in this film considering he could have played almost any character here and it would have still made sense. Also, side note, is it just me that thinks Eliza Scanlen's character, Lenora, could have been better casted as Haley Bennett's daughter instead of Mia Wasikowska? You know, they just look more similar in my opinion, but you know, this really isn't an issue. Anyways, I think all the actors delivered as much as they could have, and I thought they landed their accents pretty well. You know, huge props to Robert Pattinson by the way, because I thought he was a standout actor in the film. Pastor Preston was so captivating in every scene he was in, and he just had this commanding, charismatic presence every time he was on camera. By the way, his voice is unrecognizable here. You know, with The Devil All the Time, Tenet, and the new Batman movie in the making, I feel Robert Pattinson's really making that comeback, and I'm excited to see more of him because he's really proving himself to be a really good actor. I just wish we could have seen more of him in this movie because I guess, you know, this is where we start discussing the writing of the story, which is where I think really dropped the ball. It's just sad because this movie has such, you know, great potential and it had a stellar cast delivering great performances. Okay, so firstly, you know, this movie is too long. It's nearly 2.5 hours when it really didn't need to be. Yet at the same time, I don't think it covered enough to give some of its characters more depth to their story. All the women in this movie were pretty one-dimensional and had basically no personalities. You know, they were just props to support the main actor's storyline. Riley Keough's character probably had the most depth, but again, there was no real competition. Haley Bennett's character probably only had like 2 pages in the script and that's it. I had no issue with Tom Holland's role, but I was disappointed with how fast Robert Pattinson's character died early on in the show. The movie was marketed with Tom Holland and Robert Pattinson as the lead, but we probably only saw Robert Pattinson for like half an hour in total in this movie. It would have been much better if Tom Holland had this final epic showdown with Robert Pattinson instead of Officer Bodecker, because there was a deeper connection between the two as opposed to Officer Bodecker, who was just coincidentally the same sheriff who picked up Tom Holland the night his dad died. You know, I don't know, it felt kinda anticlimactic. Secondly, the characters don't seem to age in this film, which seems kind of weird to me. We see Arvin grow up to become Tom Holland, but all the other characters just stay the same. You know, characters like Jason Clarke's Carl and Sebastian Stan's Officer Bodecker, they didn't age at all, and that kind of took me out of the experience for a bit. Speaking of Jason Clarke and Sebastian Stan, you know, their characters reflect what I mean when I say this movie is too long yet doesn't cover enough to give more depth to their characters. You know, why does Carl pick up hitchhikers to photograph them having sex with his wife and killing them? You know, why did Sandy even agree to it? Was it her idea in the first place? How did this even start? Now, I'd like to understand more as to why he was doing it, and for the movie to give us some sort of backstory as to how it all started, as opposed to just showing us montages of them murdering different hitchhikers. This probably wouldn't have been such a big deal if Carl and Sandy didn't play such big characters in the show. Hell, I think they even had more screen time than Robert Pattinson. And for Officer Bodecker, you know, what was the point of the entire subplot of him killing Bobo and the mafia guy Leroy? Like, we get that Officer Bodecker is corrupt, and is probably under Leroy's payroll, but there was no repercussions from killing Leroy in the end. And, you know, was he even that powerful then? The subplot would have made more sense if Officer Bodecker, you know, didn't try and kill Tom Holland at the end, because then it would have led to some sort of redemption arc. But with the way the story panned out, you know, if you took out the entire Bobo and Leroy subplot, nothing would have changed in the movie. Anyways, to wrap things up, The Devil All the Time is a decent movie, but it's not gonna be everyone's cup of tea. I felt it was a bit too long and the writing could have been better, but it's not a bad movie by any means. In the end, if you do end up watching it, it's probably because of the cast and the acting. I enjoyed my time watching it, but it was somewhat forgettable in the end, and I don't see myself dying to rewatch it multiple times. It did feel a bit anticlimactic to me, but it has shown me how big of a playboy pastors were back in America in the 1960s. So yeah, check it out if you want to and let me know your thoughts on this film, and I'm giving The Devil All the Time a 6 out of 10. Anyways, thank you all for watching this episode. I hope you guys had a great time, and if you enjoyed this video and would like to see more, please give it a like and subscribe. If you didn't like this video, let me know why in the comments and subscribe anyways, because why not? So yeah, hope you guys have a great day ahead, and I'll see you next time.